Live streaming is on.
You ready, Mel? All right. So, where are we in our goals here?
Let's go into the priorities list, or you want me to copy and paste it in our notes?
Let's go with the notes.
Okay, I'm gonna copy and paste it. Getting it. Okay. Copying, pasting here.
Okay, I am back.
All right,
Yep.
we are reviewing here the priority list.
Okay. Okay, thank you for the sheet. Okay.
So, I mean, I don't remember scheduling any sessions for any of this work, so I don't think we got any of this done in the last week.
Yeah, I mean, we
Yeah,
should have worked on it on Monday, but I mean, it's when the whole incident happened. So.
The whole contentious situation.
Okay.
So I prepared
yeah.
for the blue but the two-pager for the blue highlighted in blue. I prepared the first draft for all of them.
Oh, this is great. Yeah, I would be down to just to go over the cold invitation and post. Yeah.
Draft created. I want to add something new, which is a potential new client that we have to respond to.
We can go through that first if you want to. Yeah.
Okay. So I will put it at the bottom.
Well, but make sure you add it to the primary spreadsheet, or is like Alberto, can you make sure you add it? Because this is just a
yeah. We're gonna work here, and then I'm gonna update it. Yeah. So.
Maybe it's not called client work. It is what is it?
Time to pause.
5-second pause. All right. So this is an inquiry.
Yeah. So I had a Alberto, I had basically a one-on-one session with Jay a couple weeks ago, a one-on-one buddy session where I kind of went through my CRM of old clients. And I call some of, and then I have a bunch of cold inquiries through LinkedIn or through my website. And then I have old clients, which are and current clients. And then I have the old clients I call low-hanging fruit because they're basically renewals. They've asked to renew, but then I don't have the capacity yet to do more work for them, and plus it's a lot of work, and I wanted to set up my team anyway. So this is a old client, and he just kind of reached out again. His name is Charles. He's from New York. He's in Zurich right now. He's living in Zurich to be by his daughter. If you go to the about, I was working with the two founders, Lauren and Charles. They have a nonprofit that is sponsored. They're fiscally sponsored by a nonprofit that they have in New York. And then they launched this new collaboration. And so what I did was this is how I kind of structure our consulting rate is $100 an hour. And we'll start with 10 sessions over, it could be 5 weeks or 10 weeks, twice a week for 5 weeks or 10 weeks. Their nonprofit is called Love Evolve. It's on their website, but basically he was just like, he called, we had an hour and a half kind of catch up. It's been about a year since I've worked with both of them. And basically, I told him about our sponsorship program, but I was like, hey, look, we take a 12% fee, and I know that sounds maybe high for some people. Like I remember, Alberto, you don't know about Joel, but he, they argue about the sponsorship fees, but I'm like, we're a small team, we're a boutique, we're high touch, And so
Yeah, no, it was decreased. It was decreased to 7.5
yes. Okay, so you do know. It was decreased to 7.5, and he ended up going with another sponsor, I think, for 4%. You know, so they're always trying to decrease their sponsorship fees, you know? So
Okay.
yeah. So, but anyways, what he actually remembered was me, and why I turned him away again is because I'm like, well, as Jay has explained, and Jay, you know how much work it is to work with each client, right? And it has to be worth it for our time as well too. But for $100 an hour and not that much time, it wasn't that bad.
One for breath.
Now we're at 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Exhaling breath. And inhale together. And exhaling. All right, so we're at 5 minutes for this topic. Keep going, man.
So basically,
So you
he was
turned them
just like,
down, or did it? I didn't again get. You turned them down this time again, or
no.
you turned them down
So
before?
then I turned down renewing it and continuing it about over a year ago. And then so basically he reached
Okay.
out, and then we had an hour and a half catch up, and he was like, I know you mentioned like a 12% fee. I have a lot of exciting things going on. I'd love to tell you more about it. And then basically I was like, you know what? I just need to run it by Jay. And so I told him a little bit about you, Jay, and how we've been working together and why that could be the fee. And, you know, we didn't really negotiate anything, but the next step was really like scheduling a meeting with him, but he's in Europe. So yeah, that's it.
So my only question so far is just like, why does he need nonprofit sponsorship if he already has a nonprofit?
Oh, he doesn't necessarily see. We have to do like a needs assessment. So what I can do is send a form about like, I don't know what your process is in terms of client onboarding, but usually I would walk him through and ask a bunch of questions. But that's what he remembers. But he just wants to collaborate in general. You know, he doesn't need sponsorship per se. It doesn't sound like he needs sponsorship. Maybe if he works with us, there's more added value. But I didn't want to pitch our services or anything like that. But yeah. He doesn't, it's like the value added, or like how to, maybe it's just consulting, honestly, because it doesn't sound like he needs a nonprofit, you know? Yeah. Or if he, and then you know how orgs have dual sponsorship too, you know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So my first question.
Yeah, Alberto.
Yeah.
Sorry. So my first question would be, tell us more about the experience that you had in the past with him. So is he a good client? Is he serious? Does he follow up on what he says? Does he pay
Absolutely. Very
on
professional,
time?
brilliant man, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah, but the problem is if you even go to his website, he reminds me a lot of Jay, because it's like when me and Katie consulted on this project, another partner at Good Cause Group. We're like, we don't even understand what he's trying to do. These are like new systems, and the website wasn't even half as pretty as it took them another 6 months, 8 months to even get it to this way. So I'm almost thinking this is like the showcase kind of website that we're aiming towards. But like, we're like, what? They were completely
Time for pause.
and
pause.
then no one can, their biggest problem is like no one can understand what collective intelligence is, or like emergence, and they're using these like kind of new terms that traditionally isn't grant funded, sort of, or it could be, you know. But they were just looking for guidance and structural setups, and they're like system innovators as well too. Yeah. And so I ended up working with them, and then they got into an incubator. And then after 10 weeks, I just kind of was like, okay, good luck with your incubator. And then to wrap up, this is kind of private debrief, but him and Lauren had a falling out. They are not talking. And now it's just us working with Charles. That's it. If we were to continue this. And so it may not be collective intelligence collaborative, because I think she manages the website, or they're still there, but it's more of like Charles and his ideas and stuff like that. So it's more of like an intro, and then to see.
Does he need Lauren to take decisions?
I honestly, I did talk too much about Lauren because this is kind of his brainchild as well too. So we would have to talk about splitting up from Lauren, and then he also has some assets and like things that are kind of tied up in New York that he needs support with. So it seems like a bunch of issues. I was like, you don't have to tell me all the details because I'd rather us jump on a call with Jay and then kind of walk through what your needs are. Do we have them fill out a form? What's our process before I kind of have to repeat everything again? So I don't really know too much. I was asking more about his personal life. What is he going,
So,
what is he up to now?
So I guess the bottom line, just getting to the money. For me, if we wanted to bring this into social value group, the bottom line would be like, it really needs to meet the minimum threshold of $1,500 a month.
Sure, we can ask him that.
Yeah, if he's not interested in $1,500 a month, then that would be we're at 10 minutes. Then that would be going into the org support program and the life support program, which we might be postponing at this point, in relationship to like only doing option 2 without the life support. So anyways, we'll see what we can do on that. But the point, what let's see, what $100 an hour over 10 weeks. If we did $15 sessions, let's say $1,600 would be 8 sessions, 2 sessions a week, right? So $1,600 divided by 2 hours per session, $800 divided by
Time to stretch.
time for a stretch. Yeah, let's take a 30-second stretch. We can calculate out. I think it's 2 sessions per week at $100 per hour. $1,600 a month.
Yeah.
All right, finish up our stretch.
So, Jay, sorry, let me interrupt you there 1 second. So, first of all, obviously, we need to understand the scope. If he wants sponsorship, that's different. But if he wants actual collaboration, obviously it's SVG, right? So, $1,500 per month would basically mean, how many sessions did you say? $1,500 would be 2 sessions per week. Would be 200. Would be in a month would make 1,600, right?
Yeah. But either way, I don't really want to offer exactly $100 per hour. But anyways, that's how it kind of converts.
Yeah, and then that was because
I don't like that the thing. The thing that we did right for the $1,500 per month is that it's based on the work. So the work that you're giving us, for us, it takes one month. That's how we charge you, right? Because it's difficult to calculate 1 hour, $100 for hour. Because if you say we have 2 sessions per week of only 1 hour, which
2 hours per session.
2 hours per session would be then $400 per week.
Yeah, $400 per week. That's line 51. $400 per week.
2 sessions, $400 per week. Right? Yeah. Sorry, yeah. 1 hour, $200 per session. Correct. Sorry. Yeah.
Anyways, the point is that it's not about the number of hours. The point is that we would, start working with him on his goals and deliverables, and write up a contract language based on output and final. Right? So the question is, what does he want worked on and addressed on a monthly basis, and then that is the basis for the cost. And then we can estimate how many hours it would take to do that work. And the way that I set it up usually, Mel, is that there's an invoice involved, right? And so that we invoice and
time to pause.
5-second pause. And then we, after we invoice, we can always say that it took more time, So if it takes more time, the budget goes up. Or if it takes less time, the budget, we charge less,
Right.
So in the context of the process that I do, we invoice based on actual cost, right? Because we're not here trying to gouge anybody. But we like to create an estimate, and the estimate needs to be above, $1,500 a week. And that's for our transparent open model. If he wants everything to be private and NDA and all that kind of stuff, then
No, I think he leans, just so you know, towards private, open, creating new systems kind of thing. So it could
leans towards transparent.
Transparent, yeah.
Yeah. So if everything's transparent, then it would be $1,500 a month, which is a really low threshold, especially with the economy the way it is and inflation. So private, it was $2,500 a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
So okay, there's like three main paths, like potential client at 15 a month, or maybe it's potential just collaboration, or it could be a consultation, because this is more of like they're a this is like a retainer client, right? And we can send them this pricing sheet. But if it's collaboration, then it's like for zero money almost, right? Or I don't know if he's a potential FQN or collaborator. And if it's consulting, then I don't know if you guys have an hourly rate where it's like, okay, I just need help on this legal stuff or just some life support. Maybe it's donation or range, one-time fee.
Yeah, I mean, for me, consulting is being a client, and that's $1,500 a month minimum, right? So
even if they are just
but then it's org support, right? It's org support / life support is our free program, right? If they want the free consulting, then or this would be by donation for our org support program.
Okay, so then 3 is not an option of like, hey, I only have $1,000. I just want to get started with you guys.
No.
We wouldn't do that, right?
I mean,
we just draw the line.
If he has $1,000 and he's not willing to do $1,500, I mean, because it's not about you, Mel, and it's not about me, Jay. It's about the fact that he gets Mel, he gets Alberto, he gets me, he gets Joyce, he gets like 7 people. Like $1,000 doesn't cover. We're losing money.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So if he can't go from $1,000 to $1,500 to meet our team minimum, he gets the whole team.
Yeah.
Then it's like we don't really, if he's going to be stingy like that, we don't really want his money. He can do the org support. We'll schedule a session with him once a week for a free session, and he can come.
Time for breath.
As much as we can during that session by donation. He can give us $100, give us $1,000, whatever.
Okay.
Anyway, quick breath, exhaling, and inhale.
Okay.
All right. But yeah, so that's the model that we set up in terms of this umbrella showcase website. It's like, you can either do, and this is really more the option 3, because like if we don't really go with option 3 or option 4, I am on the fence about whether we even offer the organizational support options. But I mean, at the same time, it's like we do, so maybe we really need to do option 3 or option 4 so that organizational support is included. We just get that set up properly, so
okay. So background, a little bit more background, and I also want to lower expectations, because sometimes I have to do these. I was stuck, Alberto, at points where, because I get a lot of inquiries on my website or referrals, where I have to do these calls and understand their situations, and then they haggle, and I do some pro bono stuff, right? But in the beginning, I was just like talking to him about his ideas. This is years ago, 2020. And basically, I was like, I can't help you for free anymore. And then Lauren put up the $1,000, and I was like, okay, that's fine. $100 an hour. This isn't going to take that much work. But he may have a board member to contribute money. I don't think he's definitely not wealthy, but he may be able to come up with the 15. So I feel like we should, I just want to clarify that he's also like trying to get it sustainable so that he has money. So it may not be the SVG look, but he might have something in his back pocket. I just never know, and at that point, he also was curious about conflict resolution with Lauren, but he had someone else do it. And so that's another thing. So it's like legal stuff, and then some maybe conflict resolution. So that kind of comes up today with like nonviolent communication, NVC, with his old partner to like give up the domain or figure out next steps and stuff like that, which maybe Lauren could pay for too, but they aren't on speaking terms. So kind of nasty, kind of the breakup. So yeah. That's it.
Geez. So so I'd say overall, like all of those are options that are on the table. Like as far as just like, collaboration and working together, it could just be setting up, one-time session just to like connect, or inviting him to FQN, or setting up the org support sessions where we can just communicate and have a structure to do that. All of those are totally options on the table to move it all forward. I think it should be fine. But I mean, my goal with
Time to pause.
5-second pause. With SVG, my goal with SVG is that we want to work with people who have budgets. Like if he doesn't have a budget and he's just trying to pull together $1,500, that's not really what we're looking for, right? Because $1,500 a one-time thing is not really going to like, fix that.
I agree.
All right,
I agree.
So in terms of follow-up, he was like, where can I learn more? Or like what can I do? I could send him to the website, say, hey, I can respond and do you need a 15, like, can you do the 1,500 a month, and then we can talk about it, or usually an introduction call, or what do you think? Or he was like, where to learn more? And I was like, hold on, we're working on our websites. Let me talk to Jay and get back to you, or the team basically. So yeah.
So the way that I see it, and it's very important that I mean, because this is going to happen over and over again, right? So the way that I see it is that you should be very clear with him and say, all right, so if you want consultancy work, services, this is the website, and we are charging minimum. You need to give us work for minimum $1,500 per month. So if we go into a meeting with him, it's about the scope, it's about the contract, and we're already on the same page that he wants to hire us for, and that's what he needs to pay us if he wants to hire. Otherwise, we tell him, if you don't have the money, we have the organizational support that we're setting up, and I mean, as soon as we include him in the list of invitees, and we make sure that he can come to the organizational support. But for me, jumping on a session individually, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it could take away a lot of time, and I mean, I don't know. I mean, for now it's okay, because I mean, we're starting. We have some more time, but
I think what's really good. Oh, you want to finish, Alberto?
No. I mean, yeah, I'm just brainstorming. I'm not saying.
I feel like what's really good about this timing that you're bringing this up now, Mal, after the whole discussion about our options, like for me, this brings us back to the options, and I feel like this will happen over and over and over again. This is going to happen over and over and over again, like all the time for like months and months and months and years and years and years. And it's like option 3 is the only option that addresses this situation, because the org support is so essential for our
Time to take a break.
It's break time, but for our sales, it's so crucial for our sales, because if we don't have the org support, it's very hard to negotiate and work it out without basically getting into a pro bono situation, right?
That's how I ended up securing it, because then I was doing free 1-hour consults with all these new clients, and then getting the pipeline in order. So
the org support helps address that.
Yeah. This is what I would like to avoid, right? That we start to have all these hours of JS pro bono, basically. Okay, it comes somebody that's interested, doesn't really know what he wants, what he can do, and then we schedule these one-to-one meetings. I think. I mean, either it's clear that what he wants, and this is the website, these are the services, and he wants to
support, right? So
or the org support. Yeah, that's the org support.
for me, that significantly makes me want to lean towards option 3, because with option 3, you're just, at least we're adding in the org, because it's like, I almost feel that the social value group and the whole SVG model isn't functional without org support and life support alliance being there, because we work in a social value community. We work in movement organizing. We work with all these people who either have little budgets or brand new ideas, and it's like, kind of like a roll of the dice, in many ways, luck when you hit someone who actually has money, and so it just seems to me that social value group without the life support is going to be much more difficult. And the sponsorship is great. It's just like the sponsorship is kind of like, you have to, it's not timely. The sponsorship, it's like, okay, the money's not coming in till who knows when, you know what I mean? Depending on the grants and like their funding abilities. So, I feel like option 3 is maybe the only option we really have if we want to launch SVG in a functional way, because otherwise it's just not social, right? It's basically just telling people like, look, if you don't have the money, we can't help you, sorry. And then that kind of sets people off, and it's like, then we're not really, collaborating.
Well, can I add? So then Katie came up with an example, because she
guess
was
we're
like,
taking a break.
I only, Mal, you can't be doing all these like consults. I'm like, I'm swamped by like these just 20-minute, half an hour, 2-hour consults with people just kind of venting about all their needs, right? But basically, she was like, I want to charge for even initial consults. You're a stranger, initial consult, like, and I was like, well, that kind of actually what Jay's saying goes against my values, because I mean, they're working on a social cause, so it's like they're even, they need support. And so I was kind of informally doing org support, and she was like, okay, how about we have them, and then this is on my website, where fill out these intake forms so you're not on the phone for 2 hours sometimes, just asking them questions that they could just fill out, so that these calls are 20 minutes. So then if they fill out their name, why they have the issues, and it's just like less time for these, because it can keep on going. And I think we should take a break so that, yeah, I could use
All
a
right,
break.
so let's take a break. I mean, for me, in terms of taking a break and doing a quick view up, I feel like this topic is not CCC. I feel like this topic is follow up for this guy. So we need to get a name, we need to get it organized, we need to get it in the follow up plan, and then the CCC is a separate topic. You know what I mean? They're really separate things.
I do want to get back into CCC though, but then I didn't know even if I should be like, this is good cause group or SVG or CCC.
Exactly. That's why it's follow up, because it's not about what it is; it's about what they are. And what are they? What is the name again? It's just Charles. It's just Charles.
I think we should just call him by his name, because he, like you guys and us, we have multiple entities, so, and multiple brands, so it's hard to
Perfect.
say.
So basically, this is follow up for Charles. How do we want to support and understand how to work with Charles? And I think this is extremely important. This is where human beings come in. We have to treat him like a human being. So let's take a 3-minute break, 4-minute break.
Yeah.
And then come back and then make sure we have a plan for Charles, and then we can go on to the CCC. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, 3 minutes.
So let's do 4 minutes or 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
It's okay. Yeah,
4 minutes. 3 minutes.
4
Okay,
minutes.
we'll try to 4 minutes. Let's do 4 minutes.
4 minutes.
Okay.
Time to pause.
All right. You guys ready?
Here. Right here.
Okay, I'm here. Yeah.
All right. So, why does it say Charles Blaz? Is that really his name?
Yeah, that is his name.
Fascinating. It's like almost like my name.
I
Wow.
know.
That's just
I
wonderful.
know. That's why I was like, there's out of everyone I've met on the planet, thousands of people, he reminds me the most of you. Like that's your maybe doppelganger. It's weird. Okay.
Well, we should definitely collaborate. So, anyways, I mean, I feel, adamant that after this discussion, that the best way is to move forward is option 3 with, the pipeline for everything else, and that we just need to have life support, and then life support is our primary program that we're selling to Charles, because if we're not expecting him to be able to pay money, then life support is the best thing, and we get him into the support program, we schedule with him, we communicate with him in our communication model, and we just try to get a time where we can all work together and collaborate
Yeah, and
Okay.
and do life support and support whatever he wants.
yeah, and it's not only about that. I mean, is the only right place where any potential client, he doesn't really know if what he wants. He wants maybe to know us first, talk to us first, and just sound the situation, like brainstorm if it fits into the SVG $1,500 or not, and all of that. I mean, it's the only place to do that. Because I'm totally against about
Yeah.
this one-to-one hours of sessions that can bring to nothing. Right?
Honestly, that is a huge concern with even any of these renewals or any of clients. So that it's just a time sucker, honestly, and it takes away from the trajectory, the priority, just kind of like what it is now, right? You can get into the draft of the post or talk about each one, as it comes up. As soon as you guys do marketing, it's gonna, there's gonna be inquiries like this, and yeah. So what's the process and protocol? Yeah.
Well,
Time
for
for
me,
breath.
that's it. Take a breath.
Time
Exhaling,
for breath.
inhaling, exhaling. Yeah, I mean exactly that. I mean this way. I mean it's okay to have a quick 10 minutes call or 15 minutes call. This obviously it's okay. As Jay said, we're human beings, right? But immediately, if they're not clear what they want, they don't know if they can get set up the budget, or they just want to have a discussion first, you immediately direct them to organization support, and that's the place where we can address all these things, and then see if it's can become a SVG client, or it's gonna stay in the organization, or sponsorship program, yeah, as well.
Okay.
Also, yeah, I mean that I'm changing my votes around for sure to prioritize option 3 at this point, because I just don't see how we can address this kind of situation. And the problem is that this kind of situation is going to happen over and over and over and over again. So for me, we just tell Charles 2 things. One, our minimum is $1,500 because we have a team of 7-8 people, and we have bills to pay. Like, you're not getting one person. Like, if you want to go hire one person, you can go do that on your own. It's fine. Mel, you can even hire him as one person, right? But it's like that's not what we're offering, right? As far as like SVG and like FQN. So in the context of like the life support program, that's the other option. So it's either $1,500 a month, minimum 1 month, or you can do life support by donation. And here's the email and the information, and here's the, like, just like we're doing for the CCC, we need to have like the invitation and the, you know, the landing information and the intake form and all that stuff for the org support and life support program. So I think we can easily extrapolate the CCC process into life support and get that set up pretty easily. We don't really have a good landing page, but we can have a 2-pager to get started with life support, and we just present that to him as soon as possible, like, you know, along with all the other people who need, and we just get it, you know, add him to the life support contacts, and that he can help us schedule, and then we'll get him in the program. So I think that's the best way to move forward on that side of things, you know.
Okay, so I'm gonna send an email.
We have two. I mean, we have lots of different options, but we have, I would say we basically give him within FQN and SVG, he gets 2 options, right? So FQN, he gets SVG, $1,500 minimum.
Time to pause.
5-second pause. And then for org support, you know, we just email him the scheduling form and schedule with him. Get it ready. You know, we could even schedule around him if he wants to schedule. We can do that up to once a week, basically. Once a week, once every other week.
Okay. But okay, so I can I'm on a WhatsApp text message with him, but so I'm gonna email him to the
So I think
SVG.
wait. I mean, this is the organizational support. I hear my voice. I don't know why, but I mean the organizational support is great. You can come and I mean it's our program, but I think about a scenario, right? Like, say he doesn't want to come to the like a potential client. He doesn't want to come to the organizational support, but still, I mean, he still does, but he wants to find a way to just have this one-to-one session. And he says, no, I want to hire you guys with the $1,500 retainer per week, blah, 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 I want this and that. So he comes to the first session where we set out the scope with the work, the cost and everything, and then he just disappears.
That's fine.
It's a risk we want to take.
Absolutely.
Wait,
yeah.
for org support? He's not gonna disappear. What do you mean?
No, for SVG. So org support is for by donation, free, whatever. But if he says, yes, I want $1,500,
yeah.
I will pay you $1,500 per month and set up a scope and, you know, work plan and everything like that. Yes, 100%, absolutely. We schedule with them. We spend an hour, whatever it takes, setting up the contracts and the agreement systems. And if he's not willing to sign the contract, it's perfectly fine. It's not wasted time because, you know, if we do 10 sessions for these contracts and we get 5 people to sign the contract, we are winning. We are doing great. It is fine if half of them, or if not more than half of them, say no. Does that make sense?
Oh, okay. I see what you're
Yeah, but
you're like, he doesn't close. We don't close on it.
If we don't close, it's perfectly fine. The key is that he needs to agree to be in the beginning that the context of that meeting, we control the context of the meeting, and the context of the meeting is us setting up his scope in client works model for his $1,500 a month or more, right?
Yeah. I don't understand how we can do without it, because that's exactly what the initial consult is. They know that it's a company that we expect money. We can't work for free. And so,
time to stretch.
Oh, yeah. Quick 30-second stretch. Yeah. All right. Were you done, Mel, or can I respond?
No, go ahead. Yeah.
So what I was trying to say is that the difference between a normal consult, where it's like, oh yeah, we'll just consult about what the options are and we can start talking, and a consult where it's like pre-established before the meeting that they have a minimum $1,500 and we're working on their scope of in contract with us as a potential client. It changes everything, because when we set up that meeting, we control the process of setting the scope up with them and setting up the contract. And by going through that process, it is a huge, huge win for us, even if he says no, because we will be learning and practicing. Even if we write up the entire contract and he still says no, we have a huge win because we now have a template contract, right, that we can use with other clients. So it's basically, it's part of our responsibility organizing, it's part of our workflow, it's part of our client work. It's great. It's great. We love it. The
All right.
key,
So,
it has nothing. We're not going to give him. He's going to tell us, oh, I need consultation on this. That's a line item in the budget. For example, for his website, if he wants consultation on his website, we could put that down for $300 a month or whatever. So what else does he want consult on? We're not going to give him consultation on his website during that sessions. We're going to write $300 to $500 a month consulting on your Seco Lab website. And then we go on to the next topic, right? The next part of his budget. So we're not going to give him free consult during that time. If he wants free consulting, that's not where we go through the scope. That would be during the org support.
Yeah, you're setting up their needs. I'm not writing a grant during the meeting, for example,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. It's like, oh, you want a grant? Okay, that's going to be, $1,500 right there for 1 month,
we control the meeting and the process. Yes.
Yes.
But I have I mean, I'm just gonna throw it there, but I mean, wouldn't make sense maybe. I mean, after you tell them, right, there is this option. You either ready and you're serious and you want to hire us for $1,500 per month, or if you're not sure, you still want to discuss, you want to see, there is the organizational support, but has its process. It's happening, but I mean, you're limited to that session happening. Wouldn't it make sense that if somebody says, all right, no, I'm for a second, pause. That, for example, yes, I'm serious. I want to get into the one-to-one meeting to set up the contract and the scope. Wouldn't it make sense that we charge $100 upfront just for that, for in case the risk that he disappears afterwards? I mean, maybe, or he chooses not to keep going, but at least, I mean,
that's a good perspective that Katie has pushed for, even for the initial consult, to get them into, like, there's an onboarding fee, even for org support. That's like, I can hear Katie's voice being like,
it's not a consult. It's like setting up the scope and the contract, right? And then maybe he says, I know, I changed my mind, or he disappears or whatever, right? So maybe for that we just charge. I mean, if you're serious, immediately to. Otherwise, you come to the organizational support, right? But if you from the beginning you're serious and you say, no, I want SVG immediately. Yeah, I'm ready to pay this, and then we have the one-to-one meeting. It takes 2 hours. We set up the contract, we set up everything, and then he disappears, or he says, no, I changed my mind. Would it make sense maybe to, in that case, to have like an upfront pay of $100 that he needs to make at the beginning of the setup of the session? Otherwise, there's no session happening.
I mean, my first gut reaction is like, no, right? Obviously. But my second thought about it would be like, okay, well, and the reason why it's no is because there's value in many ways. We pay them based on our policies. They get paid in tokens for even attending at all, right? But in the context of another option could be, okay, most likely in any sort of rational model, like if you think about a manipulative model, you want to close as quickly as possible. You want to just get them manipulated into it, sign the contract as quickly as possible, and get it closed, right? That's how you manipulate people. In a non-manipulative model, you really want 2 sessions. We're trying to create a marriage. We're trying to create a client relationship that could last months, if not years. And so the idea that would happen in a single session is basically 0. So what I would say is that the first session, basically we pay them, right? And we help get at the drafting, we get it all organized, right? And then present them kind of like a, rough sort of sketch of what this might look like. Then we schedule a second meeting where we, go over, email them all the basically the final, the rough draft, the actual draft contracts to sign. And then in the second meeting, where we propose to sign it, we charge, the $100 or whatever for the second meeting. Like, this meeting is a charged meeting. You don't want to go into this without actually knowing that you want to sign these contracts, but you don't have to, right?
Time for breath.
Quick breath. Exhaling. And inhale. Yeah. So anyway, so you could do it like a 2-meeting structure where the first one is free and then or no charge, and then the second one it's $100. It's well, maybe not even $100. Maybe the second meeting you pay for both the first meeting and the second meeting. You know.
That's a wonderful idea, Jay. So we try to keep the first meeting very, very controlled in like 1 hour meeting where we go over everything, and then okay, we're going to be working on the draft contract that's going to be presented at the second meeting, which be aware that that meeting is you need to pay up front that meeting and the time. I don't know about the first meeting, but definitely yes, the second meeting. Because there, I mean, we want to get to signing the contract, so we would work on all the details of the organizing the work, planning the work, and everything.
Yeah, great. I think that sounds good. Also, the other thing I like about that is that under our models, we like, upfront pay. So everything should be paid. I guess upfront pay is not a good term. We like prepayment. So prepayment / what I like, the other term I like to use is we set up like a trust account with them where we actually hold their money, and then we bill their trust account as opposed to billing them directly.
I invoice them up front for anything less than 1,000. I'm like, I need the full 1,000. If it's like a $5,000 contract or anything over 1,000, then I'm usually down to do let's say if it's 5,000, 25 now and then 25 when everything's completed. But it's up to you guys, and I'm glad we're having the conversation. What's the threshold? If it's 1,500 a month, do we need it totally upfront? And it's not like we're not going to get the work done because there's multiple people involved. I knew that if I didn't do it, Katie would do it, or Louisa would do it, or if I got sick or something like that, there's and it wasn't that much. So
yeah. Well, yeah. So I mean, for me, basically, what I'm saying is that at the first meeting, and we're not expecting pay for the first meeting, but we explain our expectations at that meeting, and we'll have it in writing as well. And then at the second meeting, they need to pay for the first and second meeting, and based on their start date for the $1,500 a month or whatever the monthly rate is, if they want to start the monthly rate on their first meeting, then they're paying like at least the $750, if not the full $1,500, based on the work that's already happened. Mm-hmm. And then if they want to start after the second meeting, they need to pay the full cost of the first 2 meetings.
Time to pause.
5-second pause. And so then at the third meeting is when, whenever their start date is, they would start the $1,500 cost for the future. You know what I mean? So I think that would work as well.
Yeah, I would keep it very simple. I mean, the first meeting, all right, no pay, and we explain what's expecting. We try to keep it under maximum an hour, right, where we set up the main scope and things and make clarity exactly. We explain that. Then we say, okay, we're gonna go on. We're gonna have the second meeting. The second meeting, we're gonna take our time to get everything in detail, everything planned and everything. And he at the second meeting, he needs to pay us upfront the cost of the first meeting, and at least the 2 hours that's gonna take the second meeting, like $300 if we say it's $100 per hour. And then once we sign the contract, then based on the contract, there's gonna be the start date, and at the start date he needs to have the $1,500 in the trust. I love the idea of the trust account because we are also very honest, and if we get to the end of the month that we didn't deliver, we would be the first one to say, all right, so we keep the money for this month and we keep going, or we take only a part, or we can see. But I like the idea of the trust account. If it's easy to set up, I think it's very cool also for the client to yeah.
So I think we should require the payment before we schedule the second meeting. So at the end of the first meeting, they pay, for not the first meeting, but the second meeting, right? And then we
Yeah,
only
exactly.
schedule the second meeting when they pay us for the second meeting. And then the second meeting is a continuation of getting the detail. I mean, it could take 5 meetings to set up the contract properly. We don't care how long it takes to set up the contract because we don't know if we want to sign the contract either. Like I could see a bunch of situations where we're just not willing to sign the contract. We're just like, no, that doesn't meet our value. That's not what we want to do. You don't, there's issues going on, so anyways, I think that it's important to understand that they're paying us regardless of whether we will sign the contract either.
Absolutely. Yeah. So basically, so the first meeting is over. Before we schedule the second meeting, they have to have paid the first meeting.
And the second.
And the second, yeah. And how much? But we don't know how much the second meeting is going to go. So what we say? I mean,
well, we just estimate that it would be time
to take a break.
2 hours, right?
Yeah, I agree. 2 hours. Second
Time to take a break.
And this is how it would go until we sign the contract. So the second meeting, we don't get to signing the contract. All right. So then before the third meeting, you need to pay us for the third meeting in advance before we schedule, until we sign the contract, and then we have the start date and the retainer.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, the second meeting, it's not really like you're not really paying for the meeting per se. You're paying for the process. So it shouldn't really be like, oh, you're paying for the meeting. It's gonna be this hour long, and we're paying per hour. It's like, no, it's like we're looking for $1,500 a month. Let's just start with, I don't know, at least 500, like $250 or $500, right? Or even $750 or whatever. Depending on how complex their contract is and how much scope they have, we could estimate how much we want them to pay in relationship to getting the whole contract set up, and then you start the actual start date. So that would relate to a minimum. If it takes 2 weeks to set up the contract, that's going to be a minimum of $750. Does that make sense? Because that's half of a minimum monthly rate.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So basically, it's all about the setup of the cost of the setting up the contract. By the end of the first meeting, even with 15 minutes to a half an hour in, we should already know basically what, and I just have to say it, 24 minutes in, we should know what the contract is going to be.
Yep.
Yeah, perfect.
And how difficult is it going to be to write this contract and get agreement on it? And then once there's understanding on that, we could go another 24 minutes or whatever. But then from there, it's like, okay, you need to pay us, either another, if it's going to be a week. What is a week? That's $325. So I think I would say 1 week would be the minimum. So it'd be $325 minimum if we think that we can set up the contract in 1 week. If we think it's going to take, and that's the same week as the first meeting. If it's going to take 2 weeks or more, then it's $750. If it's going to take 3 weeks or more, it's going to be whatever the 3 weeks is, right? That's going to be $750 plus $325.
Mm-hmm.
And then 4 weeks obviously is going to be $1,500. So that's $1,075. Let's just say $1,000, right? And if it takes 4 weeks, it'll be $1,500. So $323. Let's just say $300 minimum. $750 for what we think it's going to be two weeks. $1,000 for 3 weeks, and then $1,500 for a full 4 week scope. Okay.
Yes. Perfect. Yes. Cool.
And we can let them know if we sign up for a 2 week plan and they do $750 and we still don't have agreement on the contract and they want to continue to negotiate and continue to work on it, they're going to need to pay another $750 after 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Otherwise it's like we need to question whether or not we're willing to continue and what we're willing to do. But, at that point, it's like they're already getting equity and value. We can give them their equity and value and say, okay, if you're not willing to pay anymore, we, maybe you just come to work support and we can try to finalize there. Otherwise, we could schedule maybe one more session based on the $750 they already paid and be like, okay, if we can't get agreement here and you're not willing to pay, that we're willing to walk away. So it just depends on whether we're willing to walk away from the contract. But obviously they could try to force us to continue into meeting after meeting without paying us if we like and believe that the contract is going to move forward, you know?
Yeah,
can
but I
agree.
mean, yeah, I mean, we'll see situation per situation. But what's important is the how we address the beginning. So with the
Yeah,
first meeting, second meeting, and then I mean, we'll see.
Yeah. But it makes me lean more, especially when you're talking about the first meeting cost. It makes me lean more towards the $750 as like the minimum cost to get your contract started. You know, so like $500 to $750 might be the minimum cost after the first meeting, because these things take time, you know, to put everything together. It's a lot of work. And like, if they want it done professionally, you know, and they want to keep meeting, we have to prepare ourselves for them to not be willing to pay us more money, but then to want to continue to meet and to do the contract. And so I could see a time where we're like, okay, we're willing to do one more meeting to finalize this agreement. And that's it, you know, and you know, they already paid us $750, so why not, you know?
Yeah, I mean, the point is that, I mean, maybe after just one meeting, they're not sure what they want to do, and charging them already $750 before the second meeting, maybe would scare them away a little bit, right? So I would at least keep the
Like
first
minimum
2 meetings.
minimum 300. But if it's a really simple contract, then minimum 300. But 500 gives us at least a little wiggle room. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm good. I mean,
always takes longer than you think it's going to take.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So, Mel, how do you feel about Charles now? Do you feel like you have a plan for moving forward?
Okay. Well, what's more interesting to me is not like I could just renew him through or go through my process with Good Cause Group, but it's more important to put him and see what this was actually on my to-do list.
End of break. Time to start.
Uh-oh, we missed our
Oh,
break.
you guys want to take a break real quick? But this was on my to-do list.
I would like to finish this conversation to make sure that you're good with Charles.
Right. No, this was on my to-do list to talk to you, Alberto and Jay, both of you guys, about what for new clients and referrals, what is it going to look like? Because this is different because this is like a renewal again. But if you guys look below, I just kind of copied my first email to them. Like I did the consult already, and I don't call it a meeting. I just call it initial consult. And then I actually, then I get a sense of their needs, which is kind of like a needs assessment. And then I actually give them homework, something to read, which buys me time to spend that week creating a timeline or a scope of work, right? And attach a contract and to create the invoice. So then in that time, and then I schedule the next call and then give them some like a next session questions. But I think this is pretty good. And so in terms of Charles, I guess I'm gonna follow up over email. I can CC both of you guys, and then I still think he's gonna be confused about SVG.